Now we're going to talk some college basketball first off, and then we are going to turn our attention to the NFL. Of course, a lot going on in the NFL with free agency, but first, college basketball. Don't forget our tournament preview show will be next Wednesday right here on ProLine TV, Playbook, ATS podcast, college basketball tournament preview show. Mark will be back, and then we'll all we have a whole host of predictions and a great way for you to take a look at brackets and to try to make as much money as you can with all of our analysis. That's going to be next week. And also don't forget to join us, of course, on Sunday night for a live reaction to the brackets. Are you going to be with us on Sunday night, Tony?
No idea yet.
Okay.
Typically, they ask me to write instant reaction stuff, and so I'm usually busy on Sunday nights, but if I don't have that on my plate, I would be more than happy to join you guys and do a little instant reaction.
The good news about the Sunday night show is all of our brackets will still be alive.
And I'm open-minded, so that's when I'll legitimately. It would be cool to brainstorm with you guys and look at things like that. But see what regions are stronger than others, matchups and whatnot. So that would be fun. We'll see if I have to write or not.
And that's in line with what I said last week about wait until the brackets come out. You know everybody's path, because you might find a team that, I really want to play to such and such a team right now at 15-1. That team could very easily be 25-1, depending upon the region and the draw that they have.
Yeah, or the opposite. I think that is in line to why I went ahead, and we talked about this on the show.
50-1 or higher right now is okay.
Like, for instance, I mentioned this regarding Michigan State, and sure enough, it's already happened, because I took Michigan State at 25-1, and now they're down to 20-1. And we talked about, well, you know what? If Michigan State goes on and wins the Big Ten tournament, they could be down in the teens. And so I didn't want to wait at 25 just in case.
Where do you have them seeded now? You have them seeded what, a 2 or a 3?
I don't do the whole seeds things, but it's possible Michigan State could end up as a number 1 seed. It's possible.
Well, very definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
so I think they get a number 2.
The other thing is that when you start looking at these tournaments, the NCAA, we start looking at coaches. I mean, you can't get a bigger name than Izzo, so people bet that. And I mean, I certainly put a lot of weight on it as well.
This is arguably his best job ever.
Yeah, unbelievable.
They do not have a superstar, unless you want to call Jace Richardson that. And I mean, Jace is the only legitimate first-round pick they have on that roster. But their guard depth is great. They've got the kid Kohler, who I believe started as a walk-on. Apologies to him if he didn't, but certainly not a heralded guy. And he's the top big man over a lot of the more heralded bigs on that roster. And all those guys just share the ball and play together. I mean,
it's a well-constructed team.
Really fun team to watch.
Well, what do you think about the Big Ten tournament, guys? Are there any bargains here? Because even though Michigan State is the number 1 team, they would be a vulnerable championship team. There's no question in this conference. Any of these teams are capable of making a run. So are there any of these bargains here that you're most interested in, guys?
Oregon and Illinois out of those teams on that list.
Yeah, Illinois is 7-1. Oregon, a bigger number at 28-1.
Well, with the dominance of 3-point shooting, if you can get a team that just goes crazy, like there's one team that I can't remember the name the other night, or they've had a run in several games. They've hit 34 or 60 3-point shots. I mean, who the hell does that?
Oh yeah,
it's certainly not sustainable. I think it's Delaware, actually.
No, we were talking about that.
Yeah, I mean,
I forget what team it was.
I know they're playing their 5th game. They're playing their 5th game in 5 nights, so I don't know that their legs can hold up. But who the hell ever hit 34 out of 60 3-point shots?
I think it might. I don't know. I'm not sure if it was Arkansas State or not, but no, it was
Delaware.
No, it wasn't them. It
Pepperdine,
was
not Pepperdine. But
it was the team I think they played the championship game the last couple of nights. I just can't remember which one it was. Anyway, but they lost actually. I'm not sure. I didn't check the 3-point percentages that day, but yeah, they wound up losing.
I have a question for both Tony and Andy. Greg and I spoke a little bit about this morning. We got the St. Mary's playing Gonzaga. Then Gonzaga has this analytics and everything have them rated very, very high. But they don't always show up with all that talent and with the same finesse and efficiency. And here they are. They lost to this team twice. We know that St. Mary's is going to play the same game they always do. They'll slow it down, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, what do you think about this price and them being favored in this game?
Well, it's clearly not the Gonzaga team of years past. It's kind of like UConn, two teams that were very. In fact, I forget what it was. A couple of weeks ago, they did the stat about the number of teams that were preseason top 10 teams that are not even in the top 25 anymore because of the transfer portal and all the changes that occurred. But it was clear early in the season that this Gonzaga team and the UConn team are not the teams that they were in years past. St. Mary's has been a solid. They've been number 2 behind Gonzaga for probably the last 10 years in the West Coast Conference, but Gonzaga always seems to win except for a year or two along the way. This might be another situation where St. Mary's can win. I thought that was a big line, even with the injury to the key player on San Francisco. I thought that was a huge line last night, and I think it was based on reputation and tournament reputation that had Gonzaga a double-digit favorite. As it is, they won by 9 points, but that was a much closer game throughout much of the contest. I don't know about tonight, but I would not be surprised if St. Mary's gets the win and maybe does so by more than half dozen.
Well, I mean, look, odds makers are definitely betting that the public will bet Gonzaga, but from what I've seen, what I see right now, after opening Zags at 3, it's at 3.5, and most of the tickets have been printed on St. Mary's. So go figure, it got up to 4 even, and now is at 3.5. So, they're taking a shot that probably closer to tip-off will get the less polished college basketball bettors just playing the name of Gonzaga over St. Mary's. And certainly it's tough to beat a good team 3 times. And Gonzaga, although not at the level that they have been, is a very good team and very well coached. But yeah, I actually bet on Gonzaga laying against San Francisco because the kid that went crazy against Washington State for the Dons also was nursing an ankle injury. And you mentioned the Williams issue with his eligibility. So I expected Gonzaga to roll, and they really didn't. Pulled away late and came nowhere near close to covering. So, yeah, look, I really like the under tonight. I'll say that, but I'm probably going to stay away from this spread. I can see St. Mary's winning, and the number is at 138.5. So it probably is a race to 70. I'll take the under there.
Just hope there's no overtime, right?
Right.
Yeah. I might take the money line because both of these teams have performed exceptionally well away from home this year. That's one of the things I look like. You were talking about the Big Ten, and I think Tony mentioned Oregon. Oregon's played very well on the road overall relative to the other teams. I mean, Maryland is one of the teams that I think has been playing well, but they're just basically a 500 team on the road. But Michigan State has been the team to beat all year, but I don't know that I could play them in the tournament to win. I'd rather wait and see what the odds are when the seeding comes out. But you're right, Greg. It probably won't be as high as 25-1 or even 20-1.
Nobody has any other bargains in the Big Ten then before I move on?
Well, the one thing is when you win the regular season, and then you're looking towards the tournament, and then you got the third leg, which is the NCAA. There is the issue of whether there's a little bit of relaxation going on because, hey, we won the regular season. Now, do we really want to stretch ourselves out, win the tournaments, play every game right to the end, and then go into the NCAA with, they played a lot of games. There's fatigue issues and there's injury issues. So some of these teams that have won the regular season may not show up with the same intensity
absolutely
that they'll bring to the NCAA.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a time where Kansas and Bill Self, they'd always play and they'd end up saying, okay, we're going to be like a number 1 or 2 seed. We won't give our best effort, let's say, in the semifinal game, so they wouldn't have to play like 3 or 4, probably 3 straight days in that tournament and rest up for 3 or 4 days.
Sure. Yeah, that's the thing. Because don't forget, no team has ever won the national championship by losing their first conference tournament game.
Yeah.
It's never happened. But just like Andy said, it doesn't mean that they won't win a game or two. Once you get to those semis, that's tricky. That's when you might decide, well, I'm probably better off taking Illinois or even an Oregon, even though they're both in. But they want to get something rolling.
There's so many good teams in these conferences with so many excellent players. Any given night that somebody goes off.
Well, remember, the conference tournaments are tougher than the NCAA tournaments in most cases because you're playing night after night after night. So you could be playing 4 or 5 nights in a row in a conference tournament, as opposed to every other day, and then there's a 4 or 5 day rest in the between the 2 weekends, so actually the 3 weekends.
Right.
But the thing is that a lot of these teams don't mind playing, as I say, to the semifinal game. That means you've probably played 2, possibly 3 games. If you're one of the better teams, you probably only played 2 with the buys that come in there, and it eliminates the total problem of rust, where you could have easily been off for 10, 12 days between, let's say, your last conference game, your last regular season conference game, or the first tournament game, played maybe that one game in maybe a 10, 12 day period.
Just one quick thing to wrap up the Big Ten, because I know we're moving on to, I think, the Big East. I think that the part of the bracket that features Maryland as a number 2, probably much easier than Michigan State at the 1. Oregon, Indiana is going to be a heck of a second round game, because Indiana is going to have Hoosier Nation in Indy. Then you have Wisconsin, UCLA is the 4-5. So to me, I think whoever wins the Maryland Illinois game at 2-7 is probably going to beat Michigan Purdue. So if you like the bargain, Illinois would probably be the best bet there.
Well, you agree, Michigan, Tony, that the top 4
they are
seeds,
very good too.
That the top 4 seeds in the Big Ten, Michigan State, Maryland, Michigan, and UCLA, may be one of the weaker top 4 seeded teams across all the conferences?
Yeah, I mean, UCLA is definitely beatable because they really don't have a go-to player. They're going on a collective approach. I really like this Maryland team.
Yeah.
It just depends on if Queen and Reese can stay out of foul trouble. And if they can, then they're tough to beat on the boards.
What about Michigan, who's not been able to play, well, sometimes first half, but over the last couple of weeks, they haven't played well in the second half. They've really started to give up some margins.
And I think it's entirely related to their depth. They're basically 6-7 deep tops. Yeah. And you've seen Dusty May really struggle. Obviously, in year 1, he's overachieved, I think, but he's struggled to get 5 bodies having a full tank there late in games.
No, you could probably use the week off then.
Look, Bill Self, I think, even though Kansas always seems to be in the mix for a Big 12 title, he's often said, if we lose early, we lose early. It's better off for the NCAAs.
By the way, Indiana 60-1 is probably not a bad idea either.
They play better down the stretch, and I think they're, despite the fact Mike Woodson's done, having already said that this is it for him, they'll probably make the tournament. Okay,
so in the Big East, it's obvious. See, Jim, I'm going to make sure Jim has been paying attention. Jim, who is my top sleeper in the Big East?
Who is your top sleeper?
Yes, I'm going to make sure you're paying attention to our show.
Xavier.
There you go.
That's all you talk about.
What do you like about Xavier?
No, I just like the fact that they've been playing better down the stretch, and they're a talented team. They just, I know it's one of those situations where they're playing their best ball at the right time. They're well coached. I definitely think they're going to find a way to at least get that one win. Who are they playing? Marquette, I believe, in that first game. And if they can win a couple of games in this tournament, then I think they're going to be a dangerous team come tournament time. So, who do you guys like? Give us a sleeper pick in here.
Well, the reality is I'm not betting against St. John's. I mean, that price is not going to lure me into making a bet, but they're just, Pitino's gotten that team playing every aspect of basketball really well. But I know it's tough. I mean, it's just not a big enough price for me. I don't play short prices in these things.
If I were going to pick a team, I like the team that actually I think beat St. John's very early in the year. That's Creighton, and I think they played a very close game the second time they met. I know they're the number 2 seed, and it's reflected in their record, but they've been a very solid team, and they're a very solid program with a good pedigree.
And remember, keep your eye not only on coaching, but on experience, and that's another reason why I like Xavier. I believe 6 of their top 7 rotation players are seniors, and that's what we're going to look at when we break down the brackets for sure next week.
Well,
we're going to.
I mean, we can't ignore UConn with
No.
the pedigree that they have.
Yeah.
I mean, no, they haven't been the same team. It's kind of like Gonzaga. They're not the same team, but you got that coach, and when you got that coach, something can happen.
Are they worth it at 4-1?
Yes, they are. Just I prefer Xavier actually for the bang for your buck, but 4-1 with the two-time defending national champions, pretty good here. Especially since the bracket is I don't respect Creighton that much this season. They get by Villanova, who they've struggled with. They were down double digits to them the last time they played and fought back and won that game. So I think this is a UConn St. John's championship game, and the only team that can sneak in there, in my opinion, would be the Xavier Marquette winner. I think maybe they catch St. John's on an off night. I think UConn is almost a lock to make this Big East championship game. They've really played their best ball of late.
Really?
Getting McNeely back and Solo Ball has been solid all year, and obviously you got Caravan and Reed, the big man transfer from Michigan, has been at his best over the last month. So this is.
Can you imagine Patino against Hurley in the championship game? Wow.
UConn's not going to win a national championship this year unless they play way over their heads. I mean, they've lost a ton of talent, but as far as this conference, they can win again.
Okay, the SEC, the biggest conference of them all. Auburn has lost a couple of games lately.
2 in a row.
And I wonder if they lose 3 straight, if that'll hurt them at all. Probably not, but what do you guys think? If they drop 3 straight, are they still a number 1 seed?
I'm a big fan of Florida. I would like to get a bigger price, but I really like Florida.
That's not my question, Jim.
I think you have
if
to
Auburn loses 3 straight, are they still a number 1 seed?
Reward the body of work, and Auburn's been the best team in college basketball all season.
So what do you guys think, Jim?
Number
if
1
Auburn
seed
loses
regardless.
3 straight, are they still a number 1 seed?
Yes.
Jim?
I'm going to go with Tony. He's right.
Andy?
A number 1 seed, yes, but not the overall number 1 seed.
Okay.
Right.
So I'll tell you a team I like there, and again, I go with teams, and they hadn't been playing well, but they did get some nice wins late, including the game over the weekend. Alabama 9-3 on the road this year. That's very good because so many of these games, teams are going to have great records at home. But if you take a look at a lot of these teams, in fact, even in the SEC, there are not that many teams with winning road records. You got Alabama at 9-3, you got Auburn at 8-2, you got Florida at 7-3. Well, Auburn and Florida are going to get a lot of attention as Auburn a number 1 seed, Florida possibly a number 1 seed. Not so much for Alabama. Of course, a lot of it depends on how well they shoot. But this is a team that has the playoff experience, and you go back to last year. So I don't know what the current odds are, Greg, but I don't know if they would qualify as. I'm guessing probably somewhere in the 4 to 5 to 1 range.
What's that?
For the SEC, Alabama?
4 to 1.
Okay.
And what about a bargain? Because you've got Kentucky at 19 to 1. You have Missouri, who's gotten cold, at 25 to 1.
Where's A&M?
A&M's 25 to 1. Can you see
That's
the
not
screen
bad.
there, Randy?
I'm looking at something different. It's not coming in very clear on my
Okay.
screen now. But
How
A&M,
about
I gave up on them
about-
about 2 weeks ago, but they played well to end the season. Well coached.
you want a good big price up in Mississippi?
Yeah, I don't know if they have what it takes to win a SEC championship, but it is a big price at 65. Arkansas and Vanderbilt are capable of winning a couple of games. They might be good games to keep an eye on, as far as who they're matched up with.
I'm going to talk about one of those games in the shorts.
Okay.
I'll tell you what.
I think Kentucky
Arkansas
might
has
be
to
a
be
good team.
considered with Calipari and his experience and the way he's brought this team along. Talent-wise, they're not a team that should get out of the first round, but the way that you're going with a coach who has plenty of experience and has done well with teams that overachieved during the regular season.
Tony, they seem to play better when Boogie Fland left the scene with an injury. Is that a coincidence?
I mean, I just think that been more cohesive. I don't put it on that. I just probably better listening to their coach a little more. Guys
Okay.
getting healthier.
So
Fairly tough to lose a talent like that, though.
Jim, you mentioned you like Florida. Obviously, the price is a little low to be taking Florida.
But I mean, they've played exceptionally well. They got all the guns.
I think you have to, because we've talked about the Big East and the Big Ten. I think you have to tread lightly on going bang for your buck in the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
Because there are so many juggernauts in this one.
Yeah. There are so many, almost the top 5 or 6, maybe even 7 teams are capable on. It doesn't have to be a great night, but on a really good night can beat any other team.
Here, if you feel strongly about Florida, you pull the trigger on Florida.
Well, either way, there's some pretty good prices.
Tony, I don't think 270 is a good enough price against this kind of field. It's just too low.
No.
I'm in agreement with that. I just think that your philosophy changes here because you're not really looking at like a Xavier where you can get paid. Like here. I mean, regardless, once we get into the quarterfinals, I mean, you're facing a loaded squad. It's just completely different than
right.
You want to catch lightning in a bottle with a team that's 8-1.
This might be a situation we talked about it before in a short time frame. This is where maybe, like, if you like a Florida, you keep rolling over the money line in the 3-4 games that they're going to play, and you get better than the plus 270.
Right.
Good point.
Especially if they make it to the final game, where you got to figure whoever Florida plays, even if it's Auburn, maybe they're a small underdog, but probably at worst you're getting it maybe at almost a pick 'em, where the money line is going to be maybe minus 110 to 115, which is basically doubling what you would have gotten out of them for the first couple of games. Now, of course, the problem with that is that they would play at maximum, I think, 3 games, because they don't start until there are 8 teams. There are 4 other teams from the lower seeds that make it to the seeds 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think that's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
My little nugget here would be I'm back in the Georgia-Oklahoma winner over Kentucky. Just sheer ambition. I think Georgia can, if they haven't already played their way in, certainly can by beating the Sooners and the Cats. And then Oklahoma did beat Texas to end the regular season, beat Georgia, beat Kentucky. All of a sudden, you're overcoming a 6-12 mark in the nation's deepest conference.
Yeah, you got to keep an eye on that for sure. Make sure that when you're handicapping games here this week, you're looking at the teams that still need to win games so they can guarantee their spot in the tournament, as opposed to teams that are a lock to make the big dance. So that could definitely come into play. Atlantic 10, Jim, your VCU Rams are the favorites here. You've been a big VCU guy. Matter of fact, that's the only futures you have on our show is VCU. So Dayton is the second choice. There's George Mason and the rest. Any bargains here?
Well, you could look at Dayton being a bargain. I mean, that's not a bad price, and they're very good. VCU
it made me very sad, VCU, in losing to Dayton at home. I didn't think that would happen, and I lost money on it.
Senior night. There was the senior night trend.
I mean, I hardly ever bet favorites in these things, but VCU is just playing so well. I don't know how the hell Dayton, I can't take it away. Dayton's good.
Well, it was the senior night trend. It was the team that needed to win.
The senior nights got killed this year.
Yes, it was the Dayton needed to win, and VCU was on senior night.
What's George Mason priced at?
600. 6-1.
That's not a terrible price. They've been the 1 or 2 seed in that conference all year, and they ended up 15-3, just like VCU has. So 6-1 for a number 2 seed with the same record as the number. What's VCU's price?
Even, pretty much.
Minus 120.
That's a heck of a difference between number 1 and number 2 seed with the same record, even though VCU won both games.
Well, actually, Dayton is number 2 at plus 550.
Yeah, and I'm talking about the seeds for the overall record for the conference.
Give me St. Louis at 20-1. They've won 4 out of 5. It's the Josh Schertz team from Indiana State last year, even though Robbie Avila has been injured most of the year, or not at 100% at least. But maybe they catch lightning in a bottle.
Yeah,
I
St.
mean,
Louis and Loyola are not bad long shot plays. Maybe they can get to the final at least, and you can hedge your bet even if they do that. So maybe keep an eye on those teams.
The only
Let's
thought is
see.
with VCU is that, I mean, they're going to get a bid, but I think they're intent on winning this conference, because if they can win this conference, they'll get a much more favorable seed than whoever the second team out of this conference will get, even if they win.
is this a two-bid league? Even if I mean, if VCU does not lose,
Yes,
who's
I
the
think
second?
so.
At most,
Is it
at
George
most a
Mason?
two-bid league.
No, you mean if VCU loses?
If they don't win the
Right.
title.
Right.
Yes,
What I'm saying is, if VCU gets the automatic bid,
I believe
it's a
so.
two-bid
Yes,
league.
yes.
Who's the
I think
second?
they
The
get
only concern I have is they don't have very many games against teams currently ranked in the polls. I think that I think Dayton actually has the best record. I think they're like 2-3 or something, or 3-3, depending upon the poll. So the quality of competition in a mid-major, I think it certainly would be a stretch to get any more than 2,
Yeah.
and I think 2 is a question unless it's George Mason or Dayton.
The quad 1 wins come into play a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is unfortunate again, because these teams don't get to schedule a lot of those quad 1 teams, because the quad 1 teams don't want to take the chance.
Yeah, I don't know. And today, the way things are, I mean, I think that's so old school. It should just come on. I mean,
Yeah, of
just
course
play.
Hey,
You know,
just wait till the Steph Curry and Adrian Wojnarowski influence really hits, and the A10's going to be right there with the. I'm kidding, but the A10's going to be right there with the Big East.
I'll tell you what I would like to see.
Steph is a GM now for Davidson, and obviously.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
That. Yeah.
I'd like to see a rule that says, and again, you got these big teams and these monster conferences. You cannot get an at-large bid without having at least a 500, and I'd like to see at least a winning record in your conference. Because you're gonna have all these analytics are going to give you a good record because of the quality of competition. The fact that you may be 9-8 versus a team that's 4-1, because the team that's 4-1 doesn't get them as many opportunities. I think you have to have I think you should have a winning record in your conference, unless you either win or at the very worst or at the very most get to the conference championship game.
If you want to lump that in with bumping up to 70+ teams the way they want to, I'd be down with that. Just because you're going to get too many undeserving majors if they bump it up another 8 teams. Then having a winning that would knock out some of these SEC teams that are legitimately good. But I guess we'll see. There's always going to be somebody crying on Selection Sunday.
For sure.
This year it could be Bradley. I've seen people already breaking out the Kleenex for Bradley. So,
well, I mean, should they really be expected to win when the team that they beat or lost to was the best team and a team that was getting an automatic bid anyway? So,
right, but what I'm saying is there's the counter argument to that is, there's already too many teams getting in anyway. That's my point.
American, any bargains here? It's a 2-team race, apparently. North Texas is right up there with Memphis. Okay, so the question is going to be, when we talk about Memphis next week, is there anything about this version of Penny's team here, Tony, that you believe is different than his other versions, that they could actually make a run in this tournament?
In the NCAAs?
Yes.
I mean, look, they're the best team he's had.
Okay.
It's an athletic team.
Yes, that's true.
They're a Sweet 16 team. If they're in the Elite 8 Final Four, I'd be surprised. But I mean, they're legitimately good. They're legitimately the best team in this league. And I faded them at UAB, and they proved me wrong, and with a really strong second half.
I lost that one too. I thought I had it at halftime.
So does that mean UAB would be your little bargain here at 7-1?
UAB is very good. UAB is very
North
good
Texas
and really athletic.
I think North Texas is a better team, but the price is too low.
Yeah, both of those teams are solid, UAB and North Texas. Sleeper, if you want to go sleeper, Florida Atlantic, even though this is absolutely not the Dusty May team, but they are really talented with Baba Miller is a pro. He came over from Florida State, kid from Spain, 6'11", moves like a guard. And they're one of those international teams. I think they've got 3 or 4 guys from different countries that are playing their best down the stretch. Those are the four most talented teams. ECU's probably fifth, but you got your UAB, North Texas on that second tier, FAU and Tulane's decent, and the best team is Memphis, and has proven it.
One of the things to take a look at here is, is the American Conference a two-bid league? I'm not really sure. Memphis is in regardless. And I'm wondering, and again, I hate to bring in the fact that money is involved, but maybe it would make sense for Memphis not to win the tournament so that the league gets an extra share of the proceeds by having a second team in there.
Yeah, I mean, I would put this on par with the A10. I think both of these leagues,
yep.
If their favorite doesn't win, are a one big league to me. They both underachieved.
Well, especially in the A10, but Memphis, they've got some quality wins against some pretty good teams throughout the course of the season. So I think they're pretty much in there. I mean, what's their record? I think 13-2 at home, 11-2 on the road. And I don't think that even includes neutral games. So that's a very impressive resume. So I think they're in. I'm not so sure I could say that about VCU, although I think they are deserving.
Well, Memphis actually, and I know it doesn't mean a whole lot this later in the season, but it does help your resume. They had some really good games early on in the season. They had the UConn win in that preseason tournament.
They were great in Maui. They beat UConn, like you mentioned, and they beat Michigan State. Lost to Auburn. So Maui was loaded this year, and they represented well. They've got to win over the best Clemson team that we've seen in a decade. So they beat an Ole Miss. I think if you ask me what's the difference between this Penny team and others, is that they've proven it on the court and haven't faded down the stretch the way Penny teams have over the last couple of years.
So a lot of people believe that UC San Diego and UC Irvine, whoever wins the Big West, they might actually give their opponent in the first round a game, which we haven't seen a whole lot in the Big West come tournament time. It's happened sporadically, but for the most part, you see a lot of blowouts. But any chance that is true, that the UC San Diego, UC Irvine winner, and we'd all be surprised if they weren't in the championship game, that they could cause some problems next week.
Well, Irvine's had some pretty good recent history. They were a horrible program for many years, and they've probably been, if you go back over the last 5-6 years, probably the best team in that conference. So they do have some experience that carries over from the past few years. So I can see them being, I don't know that they can win an opening round game, possibly, but I can certainly see them covering a point spread if it's, say, 6 or more, depending upon who they draw.
This wasn't my original idea, so I don't want to take credit for it, but I saw it said by somebody I follow on college basketball Twitter. And if I follow you on college basketball Twitter, it means you haven't annoyed me with your opinions, that UC San Diego is one of the smartest, most reliable teams they'd ever seen, because they don't play down to their level of competition ever, and they just share the ball so effectively. And they're 18-2 and 28-4, so I guess there's some credence to that.
I've heard good things about them. I've never seen them play, but I have read good things. Yeah,
They took the odds down there because I was going to go into the ACC because there's already a game going on right now. So what do you guys, we know that Duke is a heavy favorite. And once again, I don't have to, I know Jim knows where I'm going in the ACC, and he actually agreed with me on our show earlier today.
Yeah, but I like the price, and I think there's an opening there for them. We both took Clemson to win it.
I was going to say that's my team also.
I am not a Brad Brownell fan at all. In fact, I think outside of he definitely deserves to have his job, and he succeeded at a football school. But man, do I not trust that guy in close games, because Clemson.
Yeah, but he had the last couple of years though he's been changing.
And this team specifically, I love watching them play.
Yeah,
I mean, Schifrin around the basket has a great motor. Their guard play is really good. Chase Hunter. I like Rockin, the big kid from Russia. So yeah, I'm gonna be on Clemson, where I normally fade them at all turns. But yeah, Louisville's pretty good, but I take Clemson over them. And obviously Duke is the rare young team that has lived up to billing. I mean,
the only thing there you wonder about Duke, their one conference loss was Clemson.
Yeah, no, I'm just in general. If you want to back them to win this tournament, or if you want to back them to win the NCAA's, I mean, they've got 3 one and dones, but they all play together, and there seem to be no
Yeah.
egos on the team. Maybe that stems from Flag being such a team guy, but it's legitimately right. Them and Auburn are the top teams in college basketball this season.
Yeah, I was able to. I mean, I took a chance, and I know winning a national championship is different, but I did put some money on Clemson at 60-1.
Good price.
So I think it's a big number, and yeah, I think this is without question his best team, and so we'll see. Again, the bracket is going to tell us a lot. One more I wanted to talk about is the Mountain West, and again, they took the odds off. So New Mexico has been the best team all year. I know they had some injuries, and the end of the season kind of slowed down a little bit. Colorado State's been the big story. They're red hot. They've had a big winning streak. They're squarely on the bubble, as is Boise State and San Diego State. And really, you could say Utah State as well, even though I think Utah State might be in better shape, even though odds-wise, they're the 5th choice.
What's the odds on San Diego State?
San Diego State, Boise State are 4-1, and they play each other in the first round. So this is almost like a bubble game.
Yeah, right. I would have liked to take San Diego State at a little bit higher odds. I just like the coaching, I like the experience, and it's been arguably the best program in the conference for last 10 years.
Oh, by far. Yeah, no question.
And they have beaten Boise State both games already this season, I believe.
And Boise's a much different team outside of their home floor. So I like San Diego State a lot. I saw the Mountain West all Mountain West teams came out, and both Bird and Boyd from San Diego State were on second team. That really factors in, because those guys will probably be pissed off. I agree with Andy. I like Dutcher a lot, and the culture in that program. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that bubble battle. I'm going to favor the Aztecs, and hopefully we see Wake Forest, North Carolina, and the ACC, so the loser can be out. I don't want to see both of those teams get at-large bids.
Oh, Wake Forest? Really? Wow, that would be embarrassing.
Right. Well, I mean, they're still right there on the bubble with SMU, but both those teams have faded, and I'm in total agreement. I don't want, but I mean, some people say North Carolina being on the bubble is embarrassing.
I know. None of those teams should be in the tournament. That's bad.
I think we saw that early in the year, that other than Duke, this has been a relatively weak ACC conference. Maybe you can throw Clemson in there, but maybe Clemson also
never been worse.
Yeah,
never.
Clemson may be the beneficiary of many weak teams in the conference.
Duke, Clemson, Louisville, or your legit ACC
that's
team. And I think we'll probably get one more. I think out of that 3, NC, Wake, and SMU, one of them gets in.
You might be right. I hope
that.
not. And again, I really love what Colorado State's doing right now. They're playing such good ball, and if they can get to the championship game, I think they're in. So, but you never know. They don't have a great resume.
They slaughtered Utah State, and I was on that last weekend.
Oh yeah,
like 40-12 at some point.
That was another senior night versus bubble team. So that was a nice, a good one again. Okay, so that's college basketball. Don't forget.
Did we do Big 12?
We have not.
Did we not? Okay, so Big 12. Oh yeah, this is the one that
I don't think we did yet. No.
No. And by the way, we did talk about that earlier on the show today, Jim and I. You've got Houston as the favorite, and then you have a whole bunch of different teams that have options. And Jim and I zeroed in on BYU and Kansas. BYU at 11-1 and Kansas at 13-1 as interesting bargains.
I prefer BYU of those two. I don't think, UConn I could see turning it up. Certainly I could see Gonzaga doing something, but I just don't see it out of this Kansas team.
Well,
not in the
NCAA tournament. I agree with you.
Self may
even now
may retire, so the kids may be one of those play it for the Gipper thing, and they have they were number 1 in the country at the beginning of the year, never played up to it, of course. Just maybe. I mean, what was the price? 33-1? Something crazy like that.
I know that this whole Bill Self going somewhere thing has been, on the cauldron all season. It seems. I don't see it happening. That guy's a lifer. I mean, I was surprised. I was surprised Jay Wright stepped down, but not that much. As I would be shocked if Bill Self
Do you
leaves, especially
know what-
not on a high note.
Do you
I
know
mean,
what
I'm sure
Kansas's
that
record on Kansas's record on the road is this year? It's astonishing.
it's not good. I know that.
4-8.
Ouch.
They take
By the way,
everybody's best
8
shot,
and
they don't have a
4.
lot of depth.
Yeah, 8-4 would be a disappointing road record for Kansas.
Yeah,
Yep,
This is
there's
four
chemistry
everybody's
with that
Super Bowl.
team. They still have talent, and you're getting 13-1. So that's the whole idea.
Yeah,
but
the one thing about Kansas, at least recently, is Hunter Dickinson's finally started to play like himself.
He played a big game the other day. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
he's really was a no-show to start the season. I mean, he was getting criticized over having a podcast, and that's the kiss of death when you're not playing well.
And then Jim and I have been all over BYU for the past few weeks. They have been phenomenal, as you pointed out, Andy. When you're choosing those two teams, it is easy to decide which of the two. We couldn't believe they were getting what was getting 8-9 at Iowa State the other night.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no respect for this BYU team. They should not be 11-1. But I mean, I understand. You got some good teams in this conference, but I think it seems to me they're the best bargain of the lot.
I like BYU a lot.
yeah, I'm with you.
Unfortunately, the bracket actually sets up better for Kansas. I looked at the bracket. BYU would have to play Iowa State and then still win 2 more games. They'd have to beat Houston in the semis and then win the championship game. So the bracket's not kind to seeding to BYU, but you are getting 11-1. Before I go, guys, do you have any surprises, or do you think Liberty? I know Grand Canyon, Utah Valley looks like the matchup, and you also have McNeese State. Any reason to believe that those top teams like that won't be cruising in their conference tournaments?
I mean, I think the WAC is a 2-team rate. I'm expecting to see Utah Valley, Grand Canyon in the final. So
I'm
no
looking forward to
surprises
the
there.
MAC tournament with Akron and Miami, and then you got Toledo and Ohio. Those are
I think that's pretty wide open.
Yeah,
a lot of talent there.
I like Miami. What are those odds, Greg?
Ivy Madness, you got to.
What did you say? Ivy Madness? Oh, the Ivy League. Akron. Who did you say? Miami's 5-1.
Okay, yeah.
Akron is the favorite, and Kent State's kind of like a co-favorite.
What's Yale in the Ivies? Is that like a minus price?
They've got to be favored, but I would still
-2
unless
to 1.
it's ridiculous, I would take it.
Yeah, you're.
Because remember, that's only a 2-game tournament. Top 4
Right.
teams only make it.
So the semis, I believe, are
Saturday
what,
and
Friday night?
Sunday.
Oh, it's Saturday,
Yes.
Sunday?
Saturday, Sunday, I think. Let me see.
Yes, I believe so.
All right. So there you go. That is our college basketball. Now we're going to wrap up our final segment with a crazy couple of days as usual in the NFL. A lot going on there. Even the Cleveland Browns have a new quarterback. So I guess we could start there at the quarterback spot. We all knew Geno Smith for days was going. Matter of fact, Tony mentioned it on the show last week that he was headed to the Las Vegas Raiders. But then we saw all the other big quarterback news. And anything surprising you guys? Anything that sticks out from some of these big deals that we've seen so far?
Did you say Cleveland has a new quarterback, someone other than Pickett?
Yeah, I mean, are you saying that Pickett's going to be unquestionably the guy?
Well, he is right now, as of today.
I don't know.
As of our, you know what?
it
It could be that Pickett's their fallback option, and they're going to draft Cam Ward.
And you heard that Daniel Jones is going to the Colts.
Yep.
I thought it was a smart move, though. I mean, like you trade him DTR in a 5th, and you get a slight upgrade and some competition for whoever you do draft. But yeah, and
I'm not sure why
Jones,
the Eagles took.
That I don't know what they wasted. Maybe they'll try to move him to a different position or something. I don't know. Zach
Wilson.
I agree with you.
Zach Wilson went to Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised about that. It must be the money.
I still think that kid has more potential than he was given a chance with the Jets.
Yeah, that's why I just don't see how that's going to change with Miami. But you never know. Tua could get hurt.
latest Aaron Rodgers rumor is what? Pittsburgh.
Right.
Pittsburgh or the Giants. what a big choice he's got there, huh?
What are we thinking about Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson?
I like that.
Absolutely.
I like that move. The thing about Justin Fields doesn't have to be the greatest quarterback as far as the thrower goes, largely because of his legs. He can do so much, which allows a lot of opportunities on offense. You got Hall, the running back. You got Wilson and a couple of other the receivers. I think this could be a situation where, given the right coaching, and everyone seems to be very high on Aaron Glenn as the head coach, that this could be a situation where the Jets might be 2 years down the road contending for a wild card.
Well, we talked about it with the Bears when they had to make that decision of letting go of Fields or taking the pick and going with Caleb Williams. And I know that as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure, Andy, you agreed that they should stick with Fields.
Absolutely.
And take that first pick and give him some more options. And, well, they didn't listen to us. They made the wrong decision. Or at least it looks like.
Only based on 1 year, but that's all we have to go on.
Wrong decision, but
Ben Johnson's. Speaking of a saving grace for Caleb Williams getting Ben Johnson there. But anyway, yeah. So but the point is that now it's 2 years later, and so yeah, why not? Why not take it's not like you're giving up a $200 million contract. You're basically, and I wouldn't be shocked, of course, if the Jets just used like a second round pick. Yeah. How funny would it be if they added Ohio State quarterback to their room and have two of them, which is what I would like to see. But
remember the Steelers were 4-2 with Fields last season, so
they were not bad.
So Sam Darnold goes to Seattle, right?
Yeah.
I wonder, does he bring the ghost with him?
Yeah, I don't know, because McConnell did such a great job in Minnesota with him. Darnold, we still don't know about McCarthy, especially coming off the injury. I would have thought that Darnold in Minnesota might have been really good for another year, but they didn't. What they offer him, I think, like just a 1 year contract.
Well, his last two games, I think, really hurt his case.
Yeah,
I've heard.
But the first 16 games got him to the game 17 and game 18.
How easily we forget, right?
Well, I think what they say, he led the league with most games with 2 or more touchdown passes or something. He played well.
Damn right he did.
It's legitimately possible that Kirk Cousins could go back to Minnesota.
Back to Minnesota, yeah.
And I guess we'll see. And by the way, Myles Garrett going nowhere.
That was surprising to me.
Well, I had the conversation with our Cleveland insider at our lads, and he said several days ago, he explained the reason why Myles Garrett was going nowhere. His contract would not allow it. There was no way the Browns would be able to trade him and not just say our season's over next year, because their contract situation, our cap would have been destroyed. It would have made no sense for them to make a trade. And sure enough, that's what happened. There's just no way they were going to trade him.
This is a playoff team in 2023, the Browns. It's not like they're rebuilding from nothing.
They just need a quarterback.
Well, they had Joe Flacco, who was a fill-in for that good part of that run in 2023, but it's not like there wasn't additional talent. And of course, you had Chubb with the injury. So there was, it's not like it's a team that's in total It's not like the New York Jets.
By the way, Joe Flacco,
Giants. Back in the mix.
Yeah. Joe Flacco to Cleveland, a return is not out of the question.
Come on, he's not still playing, is he?
Yeah, because the Browns are going to. The Browns are going to go back to the Stefanski model, which is the one that he had all that success.
They're running
the year that he had the big year. They changed everything last year, and it was a disaster. Mm-hmm. And so they're going right back to what they did with Stefanski when Joe Flacco had that. So you never know. We'll keep an eye on that.
Maybe Kirk Cousins goes there.
That's also possible.
I think he would be a good fit there, actually.
His leadership, his veteran ability.
What do we think about the Steelers suddenly remaking their offense into this passing offense when we've never seen that before under Tomlin? But if they do grab Rodgers, or even if they bring Wilson back, you're basically having DK Metcalf and Pickens, and now you've seen your running back is now playing
The
elsewhere.
Chargers? Was he in the Chargers? Najee Harris.
I thought that was a great move for the Chargers.
Yeah, it looks like J.K. Dobbins isn't going to be back. I
And
heard
guess,
where he was
I
going.
mean, Warren was sharing snaps there as a number one last year in Pittsburgh. So I think they'll probably feel comfortable with him. Probably add another back. Certainly, it's a great rookie class. But my point is, you're relying on the passing game when in December in Pittsburgh, conditions aren't really conducive to having much success there, and it's against your brand.
Well, I don't really see that happening at this point unless they all of a sudden decide to make a coaching change with their offensive coordinator situation. I mean, you've got an offensive coordinator who scheme-wise religiously runs the football. And that's personnel. You have to have a certain personnel grouping to run what Arthur Smith wants to run.
I mean, you look at that division in Cleveland. Let's say they're a bit of a mess. Cincinnati defense last year was a bit of a mess. Burrow has not been happy about certain things, and I'm sure Tony knows more about that.
Signing Chase, is a huge thing that he's upset about, that they're not doing it.
Right, and then it's really that division is starting to look weaker and weaker than it used to be, like the strongest. And now it's kind of falling apart.
Baltimore has to be the solid favorite in that division again.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ravens Invitational.
Yeah.
Well, I still think you're going to have Chase, Higgins, and Hendrickson next year. So I think the Bengals will be back. Okay, let's go ahead.
They got to do something about their defense. I mean, they couldn't stop anybody.
They did. They just
and their coach is getting ready for September games.
All right.
It's been horrible the last few years.
Because I know Andy said that you have to leave early.
I can stay a few more minutes, so that's okay.
Yeah, we're already past your time anyway. So
I
let's
think
go ahead.
Andy and I are going to get out at the same time.
Okay. Well, then let's get this going. Let's get the shorts, our last segment in. Andy, I know you said something about one of these Arkansas Vanderbilt games possible.
Yes, that is correct. And I will start with the game between, let me get it up here now, Texas and Vanderbilt. Because you sort of mentioned where I was going to head with that, and that is the game with Vanderbilt against Texas. Texas, it's the third year behind with Terry on the bench. They've won 19 games the last 2 seasons each. This year, they were, I think, Blue Ribbon had them around number 24 in the country. This has been as underachieving a team that was not expected to be an elite program as any we've seen in the country this year. And Vanderbilt has been surprisingly solid all year. They've played very well. They've pulled some very nice upsets, and I look for them. They're actually the favorite in this game. Now, the tournament's being played in Nashville, but not on Nashville's home court. But still, you have to figure, especially when they play, I think tomorrow, it's going to be the middle of the week, how many students from all the other teams are going to be at that game or any of those games tomorrow? Well, you'll have a lot of folks from Vanderbilt if they know how to drive or take a bus or something. So I think they're going to have a huge amount of fan support. I don't like this Texas team. I'm not sure Vanderbilt goes much further than a win tomorrow, but I laid the 1.5, and we'll see what happens with the line. I'm going with Vanderbilt tomorrow over Texas.
Okay, so that's a game that is going to be on Wednesday then. Wednesday afternoon?
Tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, so we'll put that short out late tonight, first thing in the morning. Okay, Tony.
All right, let's go to that ACC game I mentioned between Wake Forest and North Carolina in Charlotte. It will likely be played on Thursday, so long as the Tar Heels don't lose to the Notre Dame-Pittsburgh winner, and that game is tied as we take this in the second half. But yeah, Tar Heels have some work to do. Demon Deacons, Tar Heels, and SMU all went 13-7 in league play. It's a down year for the ACC. But I did like what I saw from North Carolina at home against Duke for about 30 minutes. Showed some fight. It's a team that has improved a little bit under Hubert Davis over the last month or so, whereas Wake Forest, again, is collapsing under Steve Forbes late in the season. So give me North Carolina probably as a short favorite. You can either ride the money line if it's short enough or lay the points. Thursday afternoon, North Carolina over Wake Forest.
Okay, and we wrap it up with Jim. Do you have anything for us, Jim?
Well, it really didn't work on the next.
You don't have
days.
to have anything.
Well, I feel like I have to.
Give us something, Jim. Give the people what they want.
Okay, I'm going to go with St. Mary's to win 3 times in a row against Gonzaga. I don't believe the line. I think it's crazy. I got 2 good coaches. I got 2 good teams, but I got one that's super efficient and the other one that is super talented but doesn't always show up with their head. The stuff between their ears disappears sometime in the game. I don't know what the hell's wrong with them.
I think
St.
St. Mary's has beaten this team a couple of times, I believe, in the last decade.
3 straight
NCAA
times.
tournament.
And they
No,
won
I'm
the
just talking
championship last year.
Yeah.
4 out of the last 5 times Mary's beat them.
Yeah. And that was better, and those were better Gonzaga teams. Yeah.
I'm
What was
sorry,
that, Tony?
I said St. Mary's and the under Proline TV show parlay.
Okay, we got it.
That's it.
Just no
Okay.
overtime.
And that's going to wrap it up. Once again, Jim and I are going to be back tomorrow morning. We're going to take a look at another big day in college basketball. Some of the stuff that we talked about here today. We're going to preview some of these tournaments. We're also going to preview the championship games tomorrow night in the Big Sky, the Patriots and the Patriot and the Southland. Don't forget also on Sunday, we'll have our bracket special. Should be airing sometime around 5 Vegas, 8 Eastern. And that's going to be a live show. So we haven't had a live show yet here with our new streaming service. So I'll make sure we're tested out for that. And then also we'll have our major college basketball tournament preview show right here on Playbook ATS podcast, which is going to be a week from tomorrow. And that'll be on Wednesday, and that'll be early, so Jim can get off to his pizza show. So
if we could start that a half an hour early, it would really help. Like 10:30 instead of 11, it would really help.
That's fine for me.
Yeah, we could start that one at what is that? The 19th or the 12th? That's 19th. The 12th. Oh, it's the 19th. No, I think yes.
Yeah, tomorrow's the
19th.
Next week is Wednesday the 19th.
Yeah.
So what time do you want to start it?
Well, usually we start at 11, but then the other show starts at 12, and it makes it hard. So maybe we start at 10:30. I get a little bit more time in.
Okay.
Even 10 o'clock might be okay.
I'm
only because there's going to be
too.
what, six of us, 5 of us with Mark.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Mark will be back by then.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll try to do it at 1 Eastern, and then I'll double check with Mark. It'll be between 1 and 1:30 Eastern next Wednesday. And then that means that the show will be available for everybody to watch just a couple of hours after that. All right, guys. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to everybody next week. Jim,
good luck,
actually, we'll talk to everybody maybe on Sunday.
Good luck with your plays, guys.
Yep.
Yes. Good luck the rest of the week. And, prepping for the college